रिपीट करो.
Oh, it's live. It's live. It's live. It's live.
Woohoo! So, guys, welcome to the stream. If you're watching it right now and the stream is over, you know what to do. Forward by a few seconds or minutes when we begin the discussion. There's a lot of work happening. It's work from home, so it's also work at home. So, yeah. Meanwhile, everybody, let's say hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
What is up?
One
What is
of you
up?
has to take over the discussion because I will have to put my mic on mute.
Everybody's looking good. Everybody's looking chilled out.
I'm just sharing the stream so that I can share it on my socials.
Rohit is on
Yeah.
time. I can play some drums. I love this sequencer, man. It's so much fun.
It's called the happy accident machine.
That is called an accident machine.
That's called an accident.
Yo, what up, Rohit? What up, XLR? How are you guys doing? Yay, have you shared?
Yes, I have shared. We've got like already 28 people on the stream right now, so that's pretty good.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. XLR has joined us on the YouTube.
Nice, nice.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think I'm going to paste the YouTube ka link over here. So everybody who's on Facebook, please share this.
It's live.
So I think I'm going to paste the YouTube ka link over here. So everybody who's on.
I like Mash's t-shirt, man.
I could hear myself. Did anybody else hear me?
Yeah, that was on
Yeah,
your
yeah,
browser.
It was from me.
Oh, it's from you.
I was looking
the
at all
delay.
of my tabs. Like, what's happening? Okay, so
Bro, I still don't know how to start a watch party, man. just saying.
Neither do I.
I don't know.
Hi everyone.
Nishank, you're muted, I think.
I said I will show you how to do it exactly right now. So guys, today we are going to learn how to share a video using Watch Party first. We are going to do a Facebook talk before Pioneer Gear talk. Pioneer DJ.
So just press share, right? So you just press share, right?
Share, and then you'll
Yeah.
get some options.
Oh my
Not
God,
from.
Sandy Thakur, welcome to the show. First time ever I see you.
No, it's a good one, Sandy. You should stay because this is going to be like a synth talk. So,
Yeah.
so this one's for all the DJs who are actually this is for everyone, bro. If you look at it, for people who are into production, we're talking about Ableton and the Therese combo, and then I am talking about the one of the favorite synth, uh,
Combination.
one of my favorite synths of all time. Actually, this is definitely like on the top, uh, and yeah, man, like. It's gonna be synth, it's gonna be Ableton, and it's gonna be closing with Tuhin talking about the XTJ versus the CDJ, which is
Yeah.
apparently the topic that everybody's been asking a lot. What to choose?
Yeah, actually, so what I'm going to do is I unfortunately hit don't allow option, and now it's not allowing me to share the
What?
screen.
Oh
Every
shit.
time there's a talk happens, Nishan looks so.
Nishank, you are a bit lost. And I know the reason why. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile.
No, no,
He's singing a song for you.
there's some work happening in my room, bro. That's the reason why you will hear it. And there's
All
no
right, so
other room.
Nash, you're going to start us off on the AS1.
So should I start?
Yeah, let's do it.
Not AS1. I'm
Oh,
covering
sorry,
just
the
the
squid.
basics of Squid. So yeah, welcome
So the
everybody.
first step is basically clean it properly with like a blow.
Nash, do you wanna switch to the
Yeah,
rear
yeah,
view
I'll,
camera
I'll,
of your
I'll,
phone?
I'll change
Or
the
you?
camera view as well. Yeah.
Okay.
A little
Nice.
bit more focus on the Squid. I mean, it's not the
Actually,
perfect.
you can see this one. This is mine, bro. You've changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but
So yeah.
what you can do is actually put. What I'll do is I'll put my squid also on top over here, so that you can just see the whole thing from the top. I think that'll be a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
What do
do
you say?
that. Yeah, yeah, do that.
So like I can just that'll be I think decent. Whatever. If you guys want any particular thing, just let me know. I'll just showcase like this then.
So basically, I'll do the talking and Skip will do all the finger movements.
Yeah, as always. Yeah. So you can just I'll just because this is the top angle, you guys can see this properly then.
Yeah, so let's get started. Basically, like I've been using Squid from last few days regularly. I was not really fond of it to be honest initially, but I realized what are the advantage and why is it so powerful. Basically, just for the people who don't know what it is basically a hub to connect all your external synthesizers, drum machine, etc., into one unit and sequence it at the same time in the unit. Also, you can use it as a MIDI controller, like I've been using it in my studio with Ableton Live. And of course, like a lot of people argue, why not use push over Squid? Well, the Squid, the most important advantage I find of the Squid is laying your ideas very quickly. Like I was jamming this morning for about an hour, and yeah, obviously I came up with some things. It's not the next track that I'm going to be producing, but yeah, just to give people an idea like how powerful this machine is, and the it's limitless, man. You can do so much. Like if you're coming up, whether it's any element of your song, whether it's melodies, kick, bass, arpeggios, chords, you even if you have no knowledge about music or music scales, you can just use this and just come up with some really interesting patterns. And apart from that, I was spending a lot of time looking at the computer screen as well. So I would work at night like 7, 8 hours. Now, after I put Squid in my studio, I don't have to look at the screen too much because I'm working here and it saves the eyes as well. So, from the health point of view, that's another advantage as well. So, basically, I'll just show you. So I'll brief everybody about some of the basic features. So, it comes with all these 16 pads. These 16 pads, you can assign them as a 16 tracks in your Ableton, or if you have 16 external instruments, you can connect that into Squid via CV or via USB, via MIDI cable. So, and they all sync properly uh, within. And apart from that, I've been using Squid as a slave to Ableton. So basically, it's taking master clock from Ableton, and then whatever sequences I lay on it, it perfectly times with the my BPM in Ableton. However, I think Skip next week is going to be covering where we will be using Squid as a master and syncing external synths into it, and even using Ableton as a slave to it.
Yeah.
So on my first track, basically I'll just show you the some of the stuffs. Basically, I've got 9 or 10 tracks laid down. One is kick, one is clap, hi hats, just a basic pattern, bass line, some synth sounds, and I'm going to show you what you can do without even having to look at the computer. And apart from that, even in the live situation, now I feel like I've never thought of it. I was more of a guy who was more into softwares and just sitting on the computer and doing everything with the mouse. But with with this machine, like my interest is totally changed now. Like I want to do more of it. I'm going to finish the session. I want to do more of it and create a track out of it. So this is basically what I created this morning. I'll just show you, and I'll then after that I'll explain you what are the various features what this is doing. So let's get started. So starting with my kick drum, this is basic kick drum 4/4 beat. On my channel track 2, or you can say channel 2, I have got my clap. Is the sound audible enough?
Yeah, you can raise
Yes, yes.
you can raise the audio a little bit. Not your mic, but the music. Yeah,
Better?
yeah, it's better.
So on my 5th channel, I've got like a simple bass line. So this is just basically one of the patterns of the bass line. So every track,
So
I have
basically, what is
option.
happening here is that you're controlling your Ableton channels from here. Is that
Yes.
what you're doing?
So yeah, what I did was I created a template in Ableton of 16 tracks with kick, bass, melody, chords, strings, etc., arpeggios, and I've saved a template. Basically, I've already assigned. I've connected my Squid via the USB cable into the Ableton, and basically every track on Ableton correspond to a track on Squid. So like, and now for my next project, all I have to do is go back and change the sounds, and my template is ready to start a new track. Or especially in the live scenario, I have this saved, and I have muted all these tracks, and so I get the idea of, okay, every track has a certain pattern, and I know aware of it. I can write it down if I'm using more than 10, 12 tracks, but this is just one single song. So I know 1 is my kick, 2 is my clap, 3 is my bass line, 5th is my bass line, 3rd is my open hat, then comes the close hat. And even while playing live, I can play these patterns for 4/4 bars or 8/8 bars and 16 bars, maybe add something, remove something. So this comes my rolling running hi-hats, and I can mute the kick if I want, or kick and bass together. So
By the way,
on the
guys, the
6th,
pads are amazing.
yeah, pads are beautiful pads, man. Beautiful pads.
Yeah, I love the pads.
There are two questions. XLR is asking if does it have a SPDIF connection,
What connection?
and Pulkit asks can
Pulkit
it,
and XLR is the same guy,
does-
bro. If I'm not wrong.
yeah, it's the same guy. Actually, Pulkit is from XLR is on Facebook and YouTube as well. So on Facebook, he's asking, can he also control different clips from a track?
Yes, you
I'm
can
not sure
control
which
yes, you can
platform
control
he-
different clips from the track itself, man. So I'll show you. Basically, it works a little bit different. So suppose
Also,
let's
there
go.
is no PDIF in it because PDIF is an audio connection, and this is a MIDI. It does not have
Yeah.
sound of its own.
Yeah, it does. Squid doesn't have any sound. It's just buttons and knobs, man. So you have to
Sequence
assign it.
MIDI signals. So you can see these are all just MIDI sounds. There is no sound of its own. It is sequencing the sounds for Torias, or I have the SP16, or in Mash's case, there is the AS1. So, sorry, the
No,
Ableton. Yeah.
I'm using it with push. Basically, for how
Yeah.
I've assigned is because it doesn't allow me, to tweak the sounds. I can it's basically a sequencer, man. So you can sequence your patterns and you can sequence your ideas in different ways. But to tweak the sounds, I'm using this push here. I don't know if you can see it. It's not visible very well on the camera though. So because every track I'm using an instrument track and automatically push because is a default MIDI controller for Ableton Live. I get all the knobs like for filter and whatever the parameters that instrument track offers. So I can tweak the sounds from there, sequence it from here, because this offers lot of variety when it comes to sequencing your sounds, because we'll come to the running direction which is here. So I can have a single sequence of 2 notes, but I can have it run it forward, backwards, up, down, round, circular, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and that ways, and even reverse the things. And apart from that, when somebody mentioned, yes, you can run different clips, I'll show you how you can do that. So on my track 1 is my kick. If I go to my pattern, there's an option for patterns where you create your pattern. So you can create up to 64 patterns per track. Consider them as 64 clips in your Ableton for a single track. So when I just solo my kick drum, now this is one of the patterns playing. Now I want to change this pattern, and how this pattern looks like, you go to trigger. The trigger mode opens your step sequencer, and you get the 16 pads, and it tells you, okay, where are your sounds lined up. So right now I have my kick lined up on 1, 5, 5th, 9th, and 13th, basically 4/4 kick. And if I want to change it, I can go to my next pattern, select it, which is empty right now, go again on a trigger mode, and maybe have a completely different kick pattern, you know. So like this. And again, I can unmute my other tracks and have this going on. So this could, and so quickly you can come up with patterns, man. And this is like, and there's one of the features is the running direction here. So right now I'm going from left to right, like, okay, every row is playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can change the direction for the kick. So very quick and easy way of experimenting, which I would never do it when I'm producing music on Ableton Live, because I would just stick to the basics and just 4/4 and just keep arranging the sounds. So that's another. So let's take the pattern clockwise. So that ways I can have up to 64 patterns of just different kick layering. So coming back to my pattern, and then apart from that, patterns, you have the option of below the pattern. I don't know if you can see. Skip, can you show them? There's something called pattern set.
Yes.
Whereby you can arrange a group of different patterns into a single scene and use them in your live scenarios, or even just thinking of an arrangement in your mind, you can have a set ready, so that when you go into the Ableton and simply record it. And another biggest advantage is it's a MIDI controller. So once I am come up with a pattern, all I have to do is just press record on Ableton, and it'll give me the MIDI of that sound, be it a melody or be it whatever. And these are just the basic function. I have not even come up to advanced features. So let's I'll show you what other sounds I've got here. So there's one stab. Now I have another like a synth sound here, and I've created a different patterns of this. So this is one pattern, and I've got the same sound being modulated by push. So I'm gonna just open the filter frequency to show it.
Bro, Nishank, you have to show matches. Yeah.
And just even for playing live, just to layering up of the ideas, this is going on, I can mute my. And with this, I can introduce a new sound as well. So coming on to my that section again where I had the synth. I can go to another pattern. Now, while I have this pattern running, I can actually transpose the whole pattern into a different key altogether. And come back to normal. So coming back to and then on my track 8 I've got some chords, not just chord, I would say pads basically. One second. So like I had this pad, I have no knowledge about if I don't have any knowledge about like musical scales or chords, what notes to play, like I can still create the sequences without having to worry about, and just believe on my ear, or you can actually see it on the screen here. So now I played one pad here. What I can do is, while on the fly, I can transpose it, record it while transposing it, or I can even convert it into a chord. So at the bottom there is a feature called harmonizer. So you can create a single note melodies and just convert it into chords. So I'll just show you. So this was my channel 8, right? So if I press, and these set of 6 harmonizer settings, that gives you option of 6 preset chords, and we can actually go and change them as well. With the music. Then apart from that, on my, I think on my 10th, so these are just the basic features. Apart from that, you have the option of creating arpeggios. So like I always had problems creating arpeggios because I don't know, sometimes I get really confused with what major or minor chord to use, and whether to go up or down the scale. And this gives me options of so many different arpeggio settings that you can play around with and just go crazy. So suppose on my track number 10, let me see what I've got here. Or maybe track number 11, I think. So this is just a single note melody, but I can go into the arpeggio section by turning it on by pressing the R button, and it'll just create a predefined arpeggio, and I can actually go in and change that, the step setting, the range of arpeggio, how many octaves it should go up and down, and even the gate setting, like how quickly, whether like it should break, like 1/16, 1/32, 1/8. So I don't have to worry about going into the computer and drawing the notes and experimenting and then deleting it and redoing it.
Sorry.
So let's get with the art. just while you're experimenting, have a play around with how your arrangement would go in the when the track progresses. And again, I can come back to another track and just. Then another interesting features. Now coming on to the left side of the squid, another interesting feature, I already told you about the running direction. Then there's an arpeggio. Then you can create the swing on every track differently. You know, I suppose let's go
Bro,
into my
Extra has a
uh,
question.
yeah. What is the question?
The question
Is
is
there
there any default pitch modulation? No, like controllers. It's just like
Yeah,
default
you
one. I
can
don't really get the question, but it says if there is there any pitch modulation?
see you can actually if you're using an external synth, suppose you're using Squid to control another analog synth or another different kind of synth, then you can assign these couple of knobs to actually like send a CV to a modular synth where it maybe modulate the pitch or modulate the filter, and then you can use it. By default, it does not. You can actually go up and down in the pitch, but not modulate it. So that is one of the main reasons why I'm using push with it to do all my modulation and automation on the sounds.
But then again, that is a synth feature, bro.
Yeah, that's a
It's
synth
not a
feature actually.
sequencer feature,
Yeah.
right?
Don't consider this as a synth, or don't consider this is a sequencer basically, where you
Yeah.
sequence and layer your ideas. And since every track offers you 64 different patterns to go from, man, so like you can just keep storing them even if you don't use them in the single track. Maybe down the line in the future you can further use it. So the possibilities are just crazy, man. So 16 tracks, 64 patterns per track, and then you have say pattern sets as well. And apart from that, so pitch, when you talked about pitch, on the right hand side there are certain pad modes. One is the pitch, whereby I can actually go into individual note. So there are two options how you can trigger your notes. One is the trigger way, where you have your step sequencer that will play the notes like you sequence it, like we did it for the kick drum, on a single pitch. But I can go and individually change the pitch of individual hits by holding the pad and actually changing the pitch here, or even the gate or the velocity. The same goes, but another way to trigger sounds is your scale. So I have a melody. I can choose a scale from the scale button here. So I've chosen C minor Dorian, and all the pads that are in the scale lights up red. And I know these are the pads in the key, and I can, without even worrying about anything, I can just come up with a melody. So yeah, that's it. And apart from that, there's another feature which is swing and groove. So I'm just gonna take my hi hats, and this is my basic hi hat. Now there are a couple of ways I can actually tweak them and change it. I can actually change the gate setting on the hi hats, and I can make it like further shorten it up, or and maybe during the course of the track I can go further up or down. Similarly is your groove bend. Groove bend is like more like a joystick, whereby you can instantly add grooves and then come back to normal. So I want to fasten up the groove, slow the groove. I want to add some swing to my this close hats. So I select that pad and just have to dial in swing. And I can, depending upon what suits with my track, I can go up to 100%. So even the velocities go from 0 to 127. You can set it up, and individual velocities for each and every sound. And once you're happy with something, all you have to do is just press the record button on the top, and I can record my sequence either on the Squid itself, or I can record on Ableton Live. So these are some of the basic features for somebody who's just starting up the Squid. I mean,
So
if you go deep
Mash,
into it, yeah.
since you've been using the push as well, which is like designed for Ableton, how different is the push in terms of like let's say if you want to generate a melody, You said that you've been staring at the screen a lot, even though you have the push too. But with
Yeah,
this, you're able to generate the
generate.
melodies without looking
Yeah,
at the screen. So, like,
yeah.
if you would just compare the melody generation between the push two and this, like, why do you use this instead of the push two?
Yeah, I tell you why. I had push for 2 years. I never used it, to be honest. Like, I used it initially. First of all, the pads, man. The softness of the pads, I really enjoy pressing the pads on this. Like, they're super, super cool. The square on the push, I find them little hard. And plus, because the push had a 64 pad, layout, and it gets
Yeah.
very confusing for me to jump from one. Like, even though it shows in the blue lights which octave is there, but I could never understand, how the scale is going, like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and
Mm,
because there are different ways to go around it. And for somebody, a new age producer, it might be easier to understand, because I come from an old school background where I've been using actually a MIDI controller keyboard with 64 keys to generate thing. So it was very difficult to understand. Plus, to come up with the ideas on push, I have to manually do a lot of things,
mm,
try hitting here and there. But here we have already got so many presets, whether it's chords or whether it's arpeggios or like the harmonizer function and even the randomizer function, man. Even if I'm not able to come up with a melody, I just press shift and random and active
right.
on a particular track, and it just generate melodies for me. And then I
Mm,
can, if I like something, I can just go in and remove or add certain notes to it, and I'm ready to go. In like, I think if I use it for another week, I'll be able to finish a track a day if just by Squid. So
mm,
it's that fast. The workflow becomes very fast, man. Very, very fast and very creative. Like
yeah.
something I could not do or even think of doing it in Ableton,
Hmm.
like in terms of note lengths or dividing the note or repeating the notes. This just does it for you and gives you ideas like crazy.
And there's another question. You say that you can record with Squid, so does it
Yeah.
come with its own memory, like
Yes,
digital
it does.
mixers, or
It's
how?
yeah. You can save your whole project in the Squid as well, and just go to a club or a gig, connect your Squid, and you're ready to go.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did my jam like that only, bro.
That's
The
very
one that I
useful.
did, the jam that I did, which with all the control with all the synthesizers, that was
Yeah.
done by Torais was the master in that. So it was a project that I saved,
Hmm.
So I
and
think that's a default for Torai series now, because even the SP16 comes with internal memory. Squid is with internal memory. So they're getting into the direction where you actually want to just use, not having to use the computer at all. Eventually.
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Uh,
I am all for that.
Yeah, killer.
But I feel that there is one thing that you have to kind of understand in the squid. What happens is that pattern and pattern set, they work
Yeah.
in very different ways.
Different way. Plus,
Yeah,
there is a bit of a catch how to use the drum racks. Like, I really didn't
yeah,
enjoy it. That's little not user friendly. I mean, you get the job done, but I could get the job done faster if I use like a single sound on every track rather than
yeah,
using a drum rack full of sounds. So
yeah.
Hmm.
that's there.
We did it yesterday. We tried it.
Yeah, we
So,
tried Skip and I tried that, but yeah, it's
so
possible, but little bit not user friendly, I would say.
but it's like it can do the job. What I
Yeah.
felt was when you're doing, because when I was doing the jam, I felt that if you change the pattern from, let's say, 1 to 2, so what will happen is that it's not going to change the whole sequence. So if I have like uh, uh, a AS1, and in that setup I had two AS1s, I had one drum machine, and I had the SP16. But in that case, whenever I would do, initially what I realized was whenever I change a pattern, this
Hmm.
pattern change is actually for the track that is being chosen. So if I've
Chosen.
chosen,
Yeah, true.
the pattern changes only that. So if you want to change the whole thing, you use pattern set, which is basically shift and pattern, and then there's a different yellowish color that comes in instead of the green color.
Hmm.
So yeah, whosoever
And
has got,
even the scale for individual track, I can set the key and scale for individual track different, even
yeah,
and match them later to make come out with the track. And that is something that is not possible
yeah.
for an individual to think when they're working on a computer. Here, you just straight away experimenting with different
Yeah, like
combinations.
everything has got like a setting to it. For example, like how Mash said that, say this is there. So if I play a note which is this note, just to choose the track. This is the note I'm playing, right? If I play This is the whole chromatic scale. I change the scale, and my Dorian. And now, if I'm doing, let's say, a harmonizer, now because I'm using a monophonic synth, it will play only one note. But if I press R, it becomes an arpeggiator, right? Also, let's say this is, so if you press Shift and press this, it tells you what kind of a harmonizer are you using, right? So you see over here, this is a major scale or major this thing. When you go to the second one, you see is the seventh. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it basically tells you what kind of things you are harmonizing and stuff like that. Now the best part is when you press scale, and if I press the harmonizer, and then press this, because it is locked to a particular scale, no matter what I do, I will never go off the scale. So I will never go off the scale. So let's say if it is a major seventh or whatever major thingy, even if and my chord is set to minor, it will play the closest note to the major thing. So everything is like very, like if you know it, it's a really good synth to
And
sequence.
right now it's playing like 3-note arpeggio. You can actually increase it to like 12 notes, 6 notes, 7 notes.
Yeah, you can. So when you press on arpeggiator like settings, so you can change the. So I'll just just play this, and I can actually all the settings are here itself. So change the octave, and now that's not it. I can actually go like gate length. So basically, this is the amount of MIDI that is being sent. So it is like a decay. So this is sending the least amount of MIDI, the smallest MIDI notes. And now if I reduce the decay, see what happens. You hear this? So that is all controlled by this the squid. So it's like a decay setting over here that is controlled by the squid. And if I combine this with this, things go crazy. So yeah, man, you can really do some crazy stuff with the. Just like,
and the best thing is, like, as a producer, like, my biggest drawback was I used to spend too much time on a single loop trying to tweak and come out with something.
Yeah.
And that loop will continue the same throughout the track, like not with too many changes. But with this, I can have a change every 4 bar and have my audience get something new every 4 bars without having to add new sounds or new things. And I can actually finish a track in 16 tracks basically.
Yeah, I can just elaborate on the whole one more thing, like how you are triggering. Like, this is all the sounds, okay? So right now, this is another way of. So if I play this, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna hear like all the notes being triggered up. So I'll reduce the BPM because it might be fast for some people.
No such
So
thing.
now what you hear?
That was a good BPM, man.
Yeah, please don't do slow BPM, bro.
I'll go 128 then.
Unless you want me to go to sleep.
But you hear this. Now, what's happening is basically I am playing something, and this is sending a clock to this, and Squid is actually triggering the sequencer in this. So now, if I switch off this sequencer, okay, so then I control the notes that are being sent here, right? So what I'll do is I'll take off the sequencer. Now, when I play it, you hear the same note, right? So this is the same note just being pressed over again and again. So, and I'll design the sound in the synth. And now what I'll do is I'll try to change this first note, which is C4, I'll make it C3, and the last note. So pitch. The first note becomes let's call it C4, and it goes on till C3, or yeah, let's do only one octave. So now when I play it, see what happens. Go to trigger, you get that, and then
And Skip, we were discussing about tying a note yesterday, so you can actually try maybe like trying sixth, seventh, eighth, or three notes.
that you do, bro. You are better at.
Okay, okay, chalo, done, done. I'm done
I
anyways.
don't,
So,
for me, that concept is like
okay.
kind of weird. But yeah,
So,
please,
so
please show
like
us.
Skip,
I want to see that.
like Skip is playing a
Or
note
maybe you
on.
can guide me, bro. You tell me what to
Sorry.
do, I'll do it for you. You guide me, you
Yeah,
tell me what to do, I'll do it for you.
yeah. So basically, you have a note playing on every pad, like every step.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
you can actually uh,
Oh, Nishank, show my
press
camera. Yeah.
Nishank his
Cool.
camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
you can go into your trigger mode, I think. Yeah,
Yes. Correct.
and press the tie. Keep pressing it, L-
Okay.
and you can tie any two nodes that can be held together. So maybe like
Okay. What I'll do is
six.
I'll reduce I'll make it only 8 beats. So
Yeah. Okay.
now you hear only 8 beats, right? And
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna take them off like so. Now what will happen is you'll hear only 8 of them, and I'll change the notes. So I'll make this one C4, uh, this one E4, this one whatever. Okay, 4 different notes. Done. Now tell me what to do.
Now suppose your sixth and seventh note. Just press the tie.
Yeah.
Basically what will happen is the seventh note will not be played. This, if you do tie on sixth and seventh, the sixth note
Okay.
will go for two steps instead of one step now. So like you
Okay.
were
Let's
doing,
do it.
we were doing it with gate yesterday.
Yeah. Correct.
So
So now if I
now
play it,
yeah,
press tie and these two together.
yeah,
So these are tied now.
yeah.
No.
Wait, let me check.
It's double. There are two songs going. I don't understand the concept of tie, to be very frank.
I
For me,
did
it
it
was
yesterday. I'll try it again. You carry on with the thing. I'll figure it out.
yeah. Okay, cool. So, what else are we talking about? I'm just gonna kind of focus more on Squid just a bit, and in that process, I'll showcase this also. So, you guys can hear. I'm just playing a melody out of it, and right now I'm just sequencing just these 8 beats, 8 beats, and yeah. What I can showcase is the synthesis that's happening behind AS1, and we talk about. I'll keep sequencing as we go along. So AS1 is basically a dual oscillator synth. So it's got two oscillators, and in this we have the basic layout. So basically, the main idea I feel behind the AS1 is it's a very performance oriented synth. So if I want to design the sound, for me the most important things that are there are cutoff, which is basically high pass filter, low pass filter, attack, decay, and frequency. Yeah. So these two filters are analog filters. This one, the low pass filter is actually, I've written it somewhere. It's a 24 dB, and the high pass filter is a 12 dB per octave, which means basically it's more steep. So you can hear it, and I feel the best part is the resonance. It really changes the whole thing. So you see. So I feel this is one synth that just cuts across the mix, and like it comes out on your face. If you're playing a bass patch, if you're playing a lead, it just stands out. So that I feel is the most amazing part about this thing. Now, other things involve the you have basic settings, like you can go up an octave, down an octave. You can sequence it. So what I'll do is I'll take off this. So
Skip
right now,
one
yeah,
question.
yeah,
Also, when you get a chance, you can explain about how to connect AS1 to Squid. You using
yeah,
USB or MIDI cable or
for
data
sure.
cable? Or,
So let's just start with that only.
yeah.
To connect it, we have the MIDI cable over here. So I'm just connecting via MIDI. AS1 as a synth accepts MIDI and USB. Sorry, MIDI and USB. So right now they are talking to each other via USB. Sorry, MIDI. And if I'm using this on Ableton, then I will be sending MIDI signals via USB, and I will be receiving audio via a physical audio jack. So via these. So there is no audio via USB in the AS1, but
I
I
think
feel
that's the
that,
case with most of the hardware synths, right?
yeah, the case with most of the hardware synth. Like a few drum machines are there which sends audio via USB. But this makes more sense here for me, because then I can send it to various effects pedals and
Hmm.
whatever. Um, yeah, so you connect them via MIDI, and this is the slave in this case. Actually, I can do it the other way around also, where this can be the master and this can be the slave. Um, and this sequence is basically what starts everything. So this is the master BPM. I can keep changing it as per my convenience. Um, in the AS1, the sequencer right now, usually what I do is I take it off, but it comes with some great sequences. So I'll give you an example, and the best part is every patch has a sequence of its own. So that's the beauty of this. So let's say if I play this and I just go through patches, you'll see what I'm talking about. So this is built-in sequence. So you're kind
One
of,
of my favorites.
yeah, you're kind of ready with the whole thing, you know. And the best part is these sequences, bro, gets synced with this the clock that I'm sending, which so basically even if the BPM was not meant to be, let's say 125 in this case, what will happen is that sequence will sync to the 125, and somehow those sequences are actually made for those patches, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the MIDI clock slave, and now when I play, you see the when I'm playing, the sequence is also playing, and I'm just playing a kick on my XP16. You cannot see the XP16 because there's not enough real estate over here, but I'm going to just play a kick drum, and I'm going to show you that how everything is synced. So synced properly. I'll change the patch and see this. So another patch.
Killer.
Bro, it's got like uh, you be like, dude, do you see, like it's like you've got like solid things already pre-made for you. And the best part is, so say I am what's the scale of your track, bro? Mash, what is the scale of your track?
C minor, C Dorian.
So now if Mash is playing on C Dorian, what I can do is I can go to my global settings and actually just change the scale to Dorian, right? And now whatever I'm playing will be in key with the project scale. So yeah, man, like I feel that this is a some weird ones also. I like this one. And the best part is you can start um, designing it right away. That's why it's really really cool. It's got just these 4 or 5 buttons which basically you need the most. And yeah, that's not it actually. They've got more buttons, as in more effects and stuff which can be added later on. So or which you can go in depth with. So yeah, I feel that it's a great synth which can be used for a lot of stuff. Yeah, man,
Amazing.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Super cool.
Just the basic bullet points on the stuff that it has. The effect units are bucket delay, which is really really good delay. I only wish they had a audio in this so that we can use the audio effects that they have. It's really good effects. Distortion, rig modulation, phaser, chorus. It's got two effects units, so you can combine one effects over the other one. Only thing is that one effect unit has got a set of effects, and the other effect unit has got another set of effects, and they just you cannot have, let's say, two bigger delays. And yeah,
Skip, I have a question.
the presets are 400 presets you get of all these awesomeness. Question.
Yeah, question is basically suppose you're going when you go to your live gig. Obviously, it's difficult to remember all the patches and all the settings. So, is there a way? How you remember that?
Yeah, thanks to Mash, I know how
No,
to
fuck you. Oh shit! Sorry, sorry. No
save them.
abusive language.
No, but yeah, there is a way to actually recall your favorite patches. So you've got 13 buttons here, sort of like a strip. So you can actually. So when I was making this thing for uh, the session today, I was like, okay, cool. I want to have a kick, snare, whatever, everything from this synth. So what I've done is you can actually just press Shift and Latch and uh, press the knob that you the one of the desired button, and you get 13 pre-saved patches. So you can access out of these 449 presets, you can access any of these 13 patches like quickly. So I just press this. Now this is my. I'll just play you this. I change it. Hats. This was my thing. So yeah, you can basically access 13 patches automatically, and I don't think you need more than 13 if you're using this synth for only one purpose for a show.
Cool.
Yeah, because you can actually design a lot of stuff. Like with like let's say only this thing is happening because I have such so much uh, like these things. These five notes are way more than enough to create a totally different sound from what it was. You know. So yeah, man. Like
So there's a question by XLR that says so basically you are controlling all the devices through master. I don't understand. Like,
all the devices are devices in the sense I'm sending MIDI signals via the rise squid. So everything goes out from here. This is the main brains, and this is the body. So think in this way. So this is sending the MIDI notes, and this is designing the sound. So the trigger MIDI triggers comes from here. The sound is designed over here. That's what's
super
happening,
cool.
and it's kind of being played via the SP16. So that's what's happening.
Killer.
Any other question?
No, I don't think so.
Why is Nishank not saying anything?
I think Nishank has muted himself because of the work going on in his at his place.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm back
Okay.
now. Woohoo!
Nice.
Nice.
You
Tuhin
have
Tuhin
any,
is quiet as well.
I've been asking questions also.
Okay. All right. Acha, there's something
when
going on
I
in the
talk,
private
people
chat I
stay
missed.
quiet, and when I'm quiet, people are really happy.
So what next? Guys, any question? Please go for it. Skip, you were too good. Everybody understood everything.
It's usually the case,
Skip,
bro.
what about just talk to them about the user banks that you can actually download other artist banks that they have.
And
Yeah.
saving your banks as well. So
Yeah, you can actually save your banks into this. So basically, like how I said, recalling your banks, you can actually just save your banks, and then you can have your desired banks being saved here. So you have so there is this. There are two ways of accessing it. There is the U1, U2, U3. So there's got
User one.
U5,
user
and then
ones, yeah.
there are user ones, and then there's F1, F2, F3, F4,
Factory
F5.
ones, yeah.
These are factory ones. So you can have You can always override the user ones. You cannot override the factory ones. But I personally feel that the factory ones are great start for the use to start to create a patch, because factory ones are really awesome, man. Like, and initially the factory ones are basically just factory ones, and F1 and U1 and all the other ones are just the exact copy of each other. So you start basically overwriting them with U1, U2, whatever.
Yeah, like actually, Kink had released a user bank
Yeah,
for the AS1, so you could just download it from the Pioneer website and push it into the AS1
yeah,
for the user
totally.
bank. So yeah, it's like some pretty cool stuff. So if you get inspired by some artists and they have banks being released for
Bro,
these
a
synths, you
combination
can
of
upload them.
this and this is like just next level, man. I feel that it's you can just start coming up with ideas like without even thinking. I don't have
Hmm.
just have to start press play and then like and then just start messing up with this. This like makes sense for me like throughout, man.
Yeah, I remember when we got this and we were at farm. Like even for
Yeah.
techno, this is absolutely magical for techno.
Yeah, this combination itself is like, I like
Yeah.
the way you can just sequence and straight up like I've got a bass line with me like.
Hmm. Skip XLR is asking if you can go through the effects.
Okay, to go through the effects, I have to take a or I'll just make a lead with this.
Don't
I'll
use
just
such a distorted tone. Use a cleaner tone so people can figure
I'll
out
just
the.
make the cleaner tone over here. In fact, what I'll do is I'll show you how you can sequence from this. So let's say you have got this. You just press record, okay, and you basically add notes to it. Now I have already set the synth on a minor scale, so whatever I press will not be off. So this is step one, and I keep adding more steps. So I've added 8 steps. I take off record and I play. That sequence is recorded, and now I can play that sequence as per the BPM that has been selected. And yeah, so this is kind of like a empty initialized patch. You can just hear it and tell there's not much happening. I've added a filter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add effects. This is distortion, and the best part is the moment you select any of the parameter, for example in this case effect, the in-depth menu comes in over here. So if I'm playing this is distortion, and now I'm gonna get into distortion, like see what all options are there with distortion. So this is the mix, no distortion, full distortion. Drive, so how much drive I want in the distortion. So if I add too much drive, see what happens. So this is drive, the tone of the distortion, and effect sync is basically how you sync it. Now this is distortion plus I'm adding the effects number 2 with chorus. So this is chorus, and you can hear that chorus thing happening. This is me playing with the chorus. Chorus depth. So yeah, that's distortion with chorus. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the FX2 and show you the bucket brigade delay. That's my favorite one actually. So this is the bucket brigade delay. And in this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the second step will not be there. So I'm going to take off the step, and I'm going to have the fourth step, which is this. So when I play this, see what happens. This is the delay on top with just 2 notes. And I'm gonna play with the bucket brigade delays effects. Timing and feedback. So yeah, you can really do some crazy stuff with this. Take off the effects. Yeah. So
Nice one.
yeah, delay, chorus, ring
And
modulation.
then there's another question: does it quantize itself?
Yes, you have to sync it. So if you sync it, then the delay will be quantized. Every effect will work with its own. It will quantize if you tell it to quantize. So yeah, you can sync them with your BPM.
Nice.
Any other questions regarding the AS1?
I think everybody's still digesting it.
This is a crazy synth, man. Like you can do some dope shit with it.
The combination is really powerful.
Yeah, the combination is really powerful. You're correct. And the best part is, bro, like every time I see it, I think of some new stuff, and it's just like it does some crazy things. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something new from coming out of these things every day, man. Like, no matter
Yeah.
you can learn so much, and there's never enough.
Yeah, like I like this whole concept of polyphony. So you can just, you're playing basically like, for example, I'll just go and initialize the patch again. And so if I'm playing this, the whole concept of not being in that 4/4 realm is so cool because your patterns keep like changing every time.
Yeah, there's another question: can we change the grid from 1/16 to 1/8, or anything that we want?
Yeah. You can totally see this.
You do that in the step sequencer.
Using the
Oh, nice. Carnatic vibes.
Kink vibes.
Biddu vibes. Carnatic Biddu. Carnatic Biddu trap jazz. Acid jazz.
Look at the sound, man. Like,
Fat Chow.
I remember when we got it for the first time, I think 2 or 3 years back in Palm, I think we got it, right, Mash?
Yeah.
Like you and me. We in my room. Usually, what happens is whenever we do all these workshops in my room, there'll be like full setup will be there. बिना कुछ होता ही the first thing I
Pre-party and the post-party.
so मेरे room में सबसे पहले setup. What I do is I set up like all the gear that we've got, and we just start fiddling around. We had this for 5 minutes, and we were able to make like the Series D's. That remember that tune that we were making?
Yeah,
like,
I remember the most popular Series D track.
Yeah, in 5 minutes, we were able to get that sound. We were not playing that tune, but the exact same sound, man. And from this patch only, it was like this. So
Nishank, what is the price of these two units, the AS1 and the Squid?
51,150, both of them.
Oh,
Each,
same
each
price.
of them is
this is one of the biggest thing that we kind of skipped is this is by Dave Smith. So this is Prophet. Basically, if you guys know, one of the best synths ever is the Prophet 6, the sequencer. Basically, anything by Dave Smith is like really legendary. And this is the single voice Prophet, basically. And you know what? There is a patch which is the last patch, and in this, and the name of that patch is It's a Prophet. So,
nice.
so I can show you like the last patch
So
Can you
Nishank, you
guys
said
see?
it's 51,500 for each, right? Both of them are the same price.
55 150 each.
55,
Yes.
150 each.
Can you
Okay.
guys read?
Yeah.
It's a profit.
No, you need to get a better
No.
webcam.
I don't know, man. Now, yeah, maybe.
Mm,
Okay,
price has
wait. Let
changed.
me just.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah, basically it said.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Oh, oh my
Yeah,
God.
totally. I
Can
can
totally
read it.
see it
Oh
now.
man,
Oh, wow.
crazy.
Wow. Wow. Why didn't we see it
"Wait,
before? Oh my God.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna take off the autofocus and make sure that you see it. I don't know, man.
No, bro, you
Not
need a better
happening for
webcam.
me.
Anyway,
Uh,
Okay, moving on. आगे बढ़े.
Mr.
हाँ तो
Okay.
Tuhin, the master, the showstopper for the night.
yeah, no showstopper now, bro. So today, I think over the last few broadcasts, we had a lot of people asking us about the XDJ series and how it's sort of been overlooked, with the Nexus 2. And actually, I think when I had the accident and I broke my leg and I was laid up for about 4 or 5 months, and then I had to prepare for playing at Supersonic. And I asked Nishank, if he could send over a set of players, and the only thing that was available at that time was the XDJ 1000 Mark II. So I said, yeah, just send it over. It should be okay. And I was actually blown away as to how similar and how close they were to the Nexus 2s, barring some functionality differences, which I'm actually going to show you now. I'm just going to switch cameras. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. So, if there are any questions for me, if one of you can just ask me while I'm doing the talk, because I'm going to be away from the screen. Okay, so this is the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, and right next to it is the XDJ 1000 Mark II. So
whoa,
the
look the same.
physically, it's slightly smaller than the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. If you see, both of them start at the same, but the Nexus 2 is a little taller. Screen quality wise, I like the screen on the XDJ better. It seems to be a little sharper in resolution as compared to the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. So physically, there are some differences. Over here, you have only a USB input. There's no other form of input. So you can't use SD cards, you can't use CDs, you can't use DVDs. You can connect it via LAN to record box as you can with the CJ 2000 Nexus 2. So if you see here, there is a drive for the CDs, and in this, there's no drive. So it's a very light unit, but it's very well built. And if you notice also, there are a lot of like these buttons over here. They're actually software buttons on the screen over here. So they've crammed a lot of the functionality from the buttons into this. So it's a great unit to have at home. If you don't really have the budget to splash out on a Nexus 2 setup, you can very well use the XDJ 1000 Mark II as your setup at home. Let me just get the drive and I'll show you. I can just get it to work. Yeah, there we go. So I've loaded it. So this normally what I would be doing is pressing the menu and hit load. Here there is a physical button for that. All of the menu, the info, the tag list, and the browse, and also all of the selectors. They're all physical buttons. Whereas over here, everything is on screen. All the buttons are actually on screen. So it's a little different in the sense that you don't have physical buttons. But I'm just gonna, yeah. And if you look on the screen, there's a lot of information that's been crammed onto the screen. So if I'm just going to play this track, and you have the waveform, you can obviously zoom into the waveform just like you can on the CDJ. And there are basic loop functions in and out and reloop. If you notice, there are no memory functions as such, and the vinyl speed adjust is a single knob as against two knobs on the Nexus 2. You also have the jog adjust, which is not there in this, and you just have one button for the vinyl mode. Here you have this it shows you. You also have the sync buttons. Here, the sync buttons are actually on screen. So that's a slight difference. Now, let's just get into the playback of this. So if you notice, it's reading the USB. This is player number 1. And the slip mode is actually a button. So if I hit slip mode, you can actually see that the unit engages slip mode. And the performance side of it is basically the loops and hotkeys. A lot of people who think that this unit doesn't have loops or hotkeys, they are completely wrong. So if you look here, it says perform. If you click on that, it opens up a different menu. You still have the waveform, so you still see what's going on the track that you're playing. You have the loops, and let me just exit. So you have hotkey A, B, C, and D. But if you hit bank, you have E, F, G, and H. So that's very similar to this in the sense these are physical buttons as opposed to software buttons over here. And you have all of your loops, your loop lengths right here. You can also access your memory cue points and loops here. And if you look at this button, it says hot cue and beat jump. So this also has beat jump. If you click on this, it opens up my beat jump options. So it's very, very close to the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 in terms of the functionality it offers you. Because over here, like if I have to go into loop mode, if I hit loop, now it shows me the loop. And over here are the beat jump. Your memory is already in set of buttons. So obviously the main difference is that the 2000 Nexus 2 is very pro because it offers you tactile buttons to all of the functionality, whereas the XDJ 1000 Mark II relies on the touchscreen. So, I mean, in a club, I prefer to have physical buttons that I can access all my functions. But at home or at a small club, this is awesome. Or even like a standby deck at a club where you don't if you need a third or a fourth deck, having the 1000 Mark II because it syncs perfectly across the Nexus 2 line as well. So there's no problem in sharing your data, and also the fact that this is only USB. A lot of people are just using USB. I mean, in my time of traveling and playing all over, I maybe one or two DJs I've seen who actually use the SD card. The CDs, yeah, there are a few people who still use the CDs, but that's why you have the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. But the XDJ
Sorry
is
to
awesome.
interrupt, but a lot of clubs
Mhm.
prefer the SD cards because if they leave um, on an auto play, nobody can pull out the USB because now it's using the SD card.
Yeah, I mean, the SD card obviously has a lot of advantages over the USB. One, the fact that when you pop an SD card in, if you leave the door open, it's not going to read the SD card. You actually have to close it. So the chances of anything spilling or somebody trying to pull it out is a lot lower. But the major drawback on the SD card is you're limited to 32 gigs. And also when you're reading and writing data to the SD card, it's a lot slower than, let's say something like this. This is a Corsair GTX drive, and it's like blazingly fast.
Another thing
With
is, most
this,
of the time in my
if
gigs, I used to forget the SD card in the player itself initially.
yeah, I mean that's happened as well. But like if I have to transfer, let's say one playlist with 100 tracks on this drive, it'll take me maybe 20 seconds. But if I have to transfer the same playlist onto an SD card, I can actually go have a shower and come back and still be transferring, even on the fastest SD cards. So that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind, the difference between the two. But like I said, a lot of people are using USBs. So this is a fantastic product. And Nishank, can you refresh my memory on the price for the XEJ 1000 Mark II?
Mm,
158, I think. No?
No, bro. For a pair?
No, single unit.
No, I don't think
Oh,
it's
no, no,
that
no.
much.
Sorry, yeah, 158 for a pair probably. Yeah, 160
no, no,
something.
no, no. So
No,
you're
no, no, no.
slightly
It changes.
confused.
Nine.
158 580 is
Is
single
this one?
unit for CDJ 2000 Nexus 2,
2000. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so
and
this is 1
XDJ
lakh.
1000 Mark II is 92,950. So roughly
Oh.
93,000 rupees for a single
Yeah, so
unit.
so you're looking at a lakh and 86 for a pair of XDJ 1000 Mark IIs, as opposed to, let's say, a lakh and 60 for a single unit of the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. So you
Yes,
can
sir.
you can see very quickly how this becomes really, really good value for money for any kind of setup. And I mean, honestly, if somebody says, look, I don't have CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 is my first go-to. After that is the XDJ 1000 Mark II. I actually prefer this to the older Nexus 2000 as well, because
See,
the functionality is very, very close to what the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 has. It's just that I'm lacking physical buttons, which I can make do for a one-off. It's
yeah.
sonically, it's very close as well. So I don't have any issue playing on the XDJ 1000 Mark II if the Nexus 2 isn't available.
Yeah, speaking of which,
Nishank, you were saying?
Rohan is mentioning that a single unit is 1,58,000 and that is 93,000. See, the chips that are used, they are ECC chips and they are not very cheap.
Yeah,
ECC chips, and that too, Nexus 2 has a 96 kilohertz one, while the 1000 Mark II has a 48 kilohertz one.
yeah.
While in a smaller setup, the oral
You won't be able
difference,
to tell so much.
yeah, it's not that
But on a
evident.
on a large rig, obviously you're going to tell the difference. Also, you have to understand that every time there is a button installed, there is an individual IC controlling every single button. Whereas when you have
Mhm.
a touchscreen here, it's basically all software encoded buttons, right? So you're saving a lot of cost on those circuits. Like even if you say the play button or the Q button, there's an individual circuit under each of them. This is not a MIDI controller like other brands. There are a lot of other brands where they have a lot of stuff built into it, but it's essentially just a computer with like MIDI switches. These actually have ICs under it, and they're controlling every single thing. So, obviously, in terms of long term reliability, this is going to go a lot longer. Um,
Vicky has rightly pointed it out that
mhm.
renting it out is a hassle, though, as everyone blindly asks for a Nexus without even seeing the features of a 1000 Mark II.
That's
It's
very
true.
true. Very true. Very true. Seriously.
But problem is that the artists, I'll just switch to everybody's mode.
No, see,
Skip, आगे.
a lot of the times the artists don't really know the
Oh,
functionality of the XDJ 1000 Mark II. I remember a couple of weeks ago, Sanjay Datta gave me a call and he said, "Look, I need to upgrade my setup." He was running CDJ 400s in his setup, and he's
He
like,
bought it now.
"Should I
He
go?"
bought the
Yeah,
thousands.
so he's like, "Should I go
Yeah.
for the 2000 Nexus 2?" I was like, "Bro, honestly, if you have a budget crunch right now, considering the whole pandemic, why don't you just buy the 1000 Mark IIs?" He's like, "Bro, does it have all the functions?" I said, "Trust me, it's got everything." And I think he got it, and 2 days he just sat on it. He's like, "Bro, this is just like a complete
Yeah.
dream
And
setup for me. I've got two players for a little more than what I would have paid for a single 2000 Nexus 2." But that's what I'm saying. It's perfect even for somebody like Sanjay, who's a professional DJ. It's a perfect setup for somebody at home. It's
Good.
amazing.
he bought DJM 450 as well, I think,
Yeah,
with it. Yeah.
yeah. Vicky,
That's the setup.
the hassle about renting it, I see that happening less and less, because when we're doing more of these workshops where people actually able to see them side by side, like how I did just now, they can very quickly see that it's actually a very efficient setup, and there's not much functionality lost between the 2000 Nexus 2 and the XDJ 1000 Mark IIs.
Fair point. Fair. Yes, Rohan, budget does matter, but also it's a matter of choice as well. I mean, if you have the budget and you can choose to buy a player, why not go for it? See, my basic logic is when you buy two players and a mixer, if one thing conks off, you still have a mixer and a player with you to continue while you get something, the third part which is broken down, repaired. But if your controller breaks, you cannot perform at all. At least you can use the roll function and start mixing with just one player uh, with the mixer if your mixer has that function. But if your one tiny chip in your controller goes away, that's done. That's it. You're done. You can't even stream if you're streaming. So, and if you have a player, one player conking off, you can at least borrow a. Yeah, you were trying to say something to him. Your audio is gone. Your audio is gone. Let's talk in sign language.
ah, ah, ah.
अरे साइन लैंग्वेज मुंह से नहीं आवाज निकालनी.
Okay.
Yeah, so about the processing speed, honestly, I can't tell the difference between the XDJ 1000 Mark II and the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 side by side. It reads the tracks just as quickly. The loops are fine. Absolutely everything is fine. I haven't had any issue using them in a setup, even if it's connected to
Also,
like
I
an
feel like
SP16 or
also, bro,
a
I
drum
feel
rack
that
or
it's the whole 96 and 44 thingy. I'm okay with that.
48.
Whatever 44, 16, it's all good.
To
As
be
in,
Yeah,
honest, I have never been able to figure out the difference so much, man. Like unless like everybody is pretty playing MP3 at the end of the day. Very
yeah.
few DJs you'll see you will play actually wave. So
bro,
to actually notice.
honestly, Mash, I mean, we had this happen to us at Supersonic. There was a whole question about MP3 versus Wave, and
Yeah.
there was one DJ who was playing MP3s, and the whole system was sounding muffled. And then when we played, I was still using MP3s, but it sounded absolutely fine. So
Yeah.
honestly, it just depends on track to track and the way each of the tracks have been sort of like mastered, and your gain structure on the mixer, the kind of mixer you're using, the kind of
I
cables you're
think
using,
it's more about
and the
I'm a,
buffer.
system, the
I
overall
think
so
it's
it's
more
system.
about
suppose
buffer.
no, I think suppose
Buffer in what
somebody is
way?
playing on CDJ 2000 Nexus
Buffer
2s,
in the
which
sense
is
that
nine.
if I have a bandwidth of 96 kilohertz and if I'm playing a track which is 48 kilohertz, I still have that headroom of the processing wherein 48's quality is preserved in terms of that extra buffer of sampling rate. But if you're
Hmm.
performing a 96 kilohertz on a 48 kilohertz output track processor, then your resampling is done to downgrade it to 48. That basically is chopping off the dots and the waves.
So
Yeah,
I think
but
at the end of
quite
the day, the
honestly,
sound card of the mixer that should matter the most. Once the sound reaches the mixer, even if you're playing from CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 and your mixer is 400, it's not going to
yeah,
give you that 96 kilohertz output anyways. So
yeah.
Nope.
At the end of the day, it's how you connect it. Like, are you going digital from your CDJs
Yeah.
or XDJ to the
Okay.
mixer?
Yeah. I think that makes
you
that's a
know
fair.
and
Yeah.
like sometimes even in a big rig, like large festivals I've seen, they have the capability of running a digital signal from the DJ booth to the front of house, but they run an analog signal. I'm like, why would you do that? You have a digital
Ah,
console in the front of house which probably costs a crore plus.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Some small things like this obviously make a difference. Pulkit, honestly, I have not had any issues with the memory queues and all of that stuff. Or it
Never.
comes down to the USB sticks that you're also using. So if you're using older USB sticks, which they say they're 3.1 or 3.2, whatever it is, they are not comparable. You really need high quality USB drives, because you can have a USB 3 drive which reads and writes at 400 MB. You can have a USB 3 drive that reads and writes at 80 MB a second. So all of that makes a difference. The kind of cables that you're using, whether are you using Cat 5 or using Cat 6 cables, that makes a big difference as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if you have Cat 5 cables, then you're restricted to 10 or 100 MB per second on your LAN. But if you're running Cat 6, you're running a full gigabit through your cables, which is what you need. And that's where large files make a difference, especially when you're loading Wave or AIFF.
Skip is checking his Facebook.
No. I'm checking the manual of the 2000. I want to see what's the MP3. Sorry, what's the wave bit rate it supports?
Hmm.
As in,
Okay.
is it like 96? Does it
bitrate
support
is
that?
16-bit only, man, in all the players.
So yeah,
Honestly, I was shocked when Nishank, when you sent the XDJs to me, I was shocked when I set it up, because I mean we've done workshops and stuff, but I've never really spent a extended period of time working on them. And that was the first time I actually spent time working on it, and I was just blown away. I was like, wow, I didn't know there was so much stuff kind of built into the unit. And if I was a DJ only using USBs, this is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't use hot queues. I use a lot of loops, yes. But even when I'm doing that, I'm using the screen on my CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 to extend Like if I go into loop mode, I'm still going into the screen to actually get to individual loop points. And if I'm doing a large scale setup where I'm doing 5 or 6 hours, then I also have the XP1, XP2. So then I have physical access points for my loops, which is
What
cool.
about Nash?
No, I was gonna ask you since I haven't got Nexus 2s as I requested. Maybe you can send me XDJ thousands.
Nishank, that's for you, not for me.
The sly bounce.
But हमारे पास तो 2000 Mark II है ना, वो भी तुहिन के पास है.
And Bangalore is in lockdown until 31st.
Full power.
No, but Nishank, can you check what is the bitrate it
For-
supports for the 4416, right? Wave file. Because I remember I've put a 48 kilohertz 24-bit
24-bit
wave
doesn't
file.
work on the players, man. 100%. Only
Yeah.
16-bit is the max. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, if it has a sound card which supports 96 kilohertz.
But the bit rate is still 16. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
confusing for me as well. Yeah. So basically, in every if you go into the physics, basically, what it does is it divides a waveform into 16 parts.
When you use it as a sound card, it gives out that.
Yeah, that probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Co-
trying
that-
to.
when I think
अच्छा.
Because as an audio file, MP3, wave file, will support 4416.
40. So basically, it's doing 44,100 parts of a wave to read.
Yeah, I know.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it supports wave, which is 4416. Supports MP3 320. MP3 is no problem. Supports FLAC and
AIFF.
AIFF. Yeah, AIFF
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah. And what's the Mark II, 1000 Mark II? Do they support like 4824?
So the Mark II supports MP3, AAC, Wave, AIFF.
No, but what format?
FLAC,
What format of wave?
ALAC.
Man, it'll be 16-bit only.
Same.
16,
But
44.
because Record Box supports that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you remember, like, whenever you drop a
whatever
file,
a record box file format is supported is going to be the same as on,
Yeah,
on the
correct.
players, because
Yeah.
you're going to analyze the files in record box and then either export it or use it
yeah.
on a,
But
on a
when
link.
you've noticed that whenever we put a file which is not like in that specific thing, it shows a message that
Error.
this might not work on certain
Yeah.
unit. So I was
Correct.
thinking that this Mark II can be like an exception to that. I don't know. I was just thinking out loud. Ki maybe Mark,
No,
because
lot-
it doesn't say that it will not work. It says it will not work in specific players.
Lot of older players don't support AIFF and all those formats, so probably that's why.
Maybe, yeah.
Possible.
But there is not a player so far that can play a 24-bit in the market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So max is 16-bit.
Yeah. So maybe when you're using a sound card, then you can pull it down.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any more
So-
questions, guys? Please let us know.
Read the manual.
My manual is skip. Every time I get stuck, I give him a call, and it saves me like 3-4 hours of going through reading and.
Yeah, I read the manual, man. I read the manual a lot. For me, it's amazing, like how the things that you can discover just by reading the manual.
I read a line and I pass out.
Yeah. So nowadays you can do like an audiobook thingy.
Yeah. True.
Okay, lads. Time for me to sign out.
Awesome. Good
Do
session.
we have
It was a great
Um,
session today, man. Really enjoyed it. Everybody.
Yeah.
Very
So
informative.
next weekend we have live sets for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, is it the first
Live
week?
DJ
Oh,
sets?
it's the first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, DJ set.
Yeah, DJ
Like
sets.
half an hour, no?
Yeah,
Half an hour
same.
DJ sets, bro.
Okay, cool.
I will do a live set. I will do a all analog live set. I think that's my jam. I'll
Can
do
I
it,
also
Jack.
play a live set?
Chalo, you also do
No,
half an hour.
Ha,
no.
let's all of us do half an
Yeah,
hour.
yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
I'll open for you guys.
So 5 to 7.
Ooh, I don't think I can open because मेरे यहाँ पे internet 5 बजे बेकार होता है.
So you record it before, no? Like in the night and then
Yeah,
broadcast it.
हाँ, I can
Half an.
record it and send it to you. One of you broadcast it. बहुत
Yeah,
बढ़िया.
yeah.
sounds good.
Sure.
Nice.
Awesome,
चलो,
guys.
perfect.
Thanks for
Cool.
tuning in. If you have any questions, as always, please inbox us on the Pioneer DJ India Facebook and Instagram and YouTube pages.
Peace.
And we will see
Adios.
you next Sunday, 5 p.m. for a 2-hour live DJ set.
2 hour live.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
already decided it's going to be a 2 hour live session.
2 घंटे में 4 DJs यहीं मिलेंगे. क्या बोल रहे?
Thanks, guys. Thank
Chalo.
you, everyone.
See you guys.
See ya. Bye
Have a good
bye.
Sunday. Bye.
You too. Everybody.
Who's closing?
I-